My name is Kelly Pickens. I'm from Jacksonville, Florida. I'm here to talk about our son, Hugh Pickens. We had Hugh at a young age. I was a teen mother when he was born. My husband and I have been together for 26 years. We've weathered every storm. Hugh's always been a good kid. Hugh has never been in trouble in his life up until what happened the week of July 14th. Hugh was homeschooled on and off his whole life and was involved in sports, activities. He was always involved in church and different things that any normal child could be involved in. We just like to keep him active. When Hugh turned 19, he had graduated and was a really good football player. He decided at the age of 19 that the scholarships were not coming as fast as he had hoped. So he decided to move out. He'd been out of the house 5 months and moved in with his girlfriend and was trying to help them with the household bills. And he was working as a grocery store clerk. He wasn't making it. He was too ashamed to move back home, we later found out. And some guys asked him, "Let's go make some fast money. Let's go rob some people." He said, "No, I can't do that." They waited around, they came back, they asked him again, "Come on, you're weak, you're sissy. You're not going to do it." Hugh did it. He said, "I have no one to blame but myself. I followed them." He said, "I had every intention to make good in my life, but it just didn't work out that way. At the time, I felt like I had no other choice. So I allowed myself to be talked into it, and I went willingly." They gave him a gun in one of the instances, and it had no bullets in it. Of course, none of the victims knew that. But he said, "Mom, I felt like if I had the gun with no bullets in it, I knew I wouldn't have to hurt anybody." Some people were robbed. 2 pizza delivery drivers were taken on a spin. Their money was stolen. And what Hugh did was wrong. And we just want to say that we believe wholeheartedly that he is not innocent, that he deserves punishment. Hugh was sentenced by Judge Wilkes and Judge Arnold because this was committed over 2 counties. He was sentenced to 40 years in prison on his first offense. He was eligible for what is called the Youthful Offender Program. There are certain criteria that you have to meet to be adjudicated a youthful offender. Hugh met every criteria there was. Our attorneys told us that you need to think about what you're going to do. We were given 3 options. The first option was to take it to trial. And if we took it to trial, the prosecutor told me in a meeting, "Mrs. Pickens, if you take it to trial, we will try to throw the book at him and give him life. You can either take that, or you can take a deal of 30 years in prison, or your third option is to plead to the mercy of the court," which is what we chose. Hugh left it up to us because he didn't know either way, and the attorney really didn't tell us a whole lot in regards to what to do. We just felt like, our son has never been in trouble. This was his first offense. There's no way that we're going to agree to 30 years in prison. So what we did was take it to the mercy of the court. We pled straight up to the judge, which is when we found out the judge later decided that, yes, what you've done deserves 40 years in prison, and that was his sentence. Being that it was committed across county lines, he had to stand in both counties. So not only are we standing and trying to fight the 40 years in one county, we have to fight it in 2. The second county also gave him 40 years. They said they were going to piggyback on the back of whatever the first judge did. The judge sat before us and the victims and said, "We used to give second and third chances, and it didn't work. Now we just punish." He said, "If you have the means to move out of Jacksonville, crime is never getting any better. If you have the means, move." I feel like as a law-abiding citizen in the city of Jacksonville, that if I were to up and move, our city will never get any better. I think the things that he said were just off the wall, and it didn't help. It doesn't help to rid our city of crime. Before all this happened with Hugh, We used to believe, for the most part, in the justice system. We would see kids that would get in trouble that would get second chances, which is one thing Hugh said to me. He said, "Mom, the only thing I regret is that the guys that I got caught up with, they've had second chances, but I didn't. I got sentenced on my first time being in trouble." And that really made me think, you know, what is going on with our justice system today and what's going on with these youth? Is this helping? Are these youth that are getting caught up in the system, are they going through it and being changed, or is it just making them more hardened criminals? Hugh said you wouldn't imagine the things that go on behind bars in prison. He said it makes a monster out of a lot of people, and if you don't have a strong family there to support you and to care about you, you'll get sucked in just like everybody else. Hugh's kept a very positive outlook the whole time he's been there, and not one time has he complained. God forbid if I were ever locked up behind bars, I think I would say, you know, I hate it every day, but he keeps me strong. If Hugh were treated as a youthful offender, his sentence would have been 6 years or less. He would have done, from what I understand through the Florida statutes, that he would have done 4 years and then 2 years in an ankle bracelet after that. After, he would have also had to complete community service, community hours, and probation for an unknown period of years. There were 3 other people that were involved in these cases. There was what we call the ringleader. He was sentenced to 20 years in prison. He has had a prior criminal record. He wasn't involved in one of the cases, I believe, and thus that's why he got a lighter sentence. The second gentleman that's involved in the case has been in trouble more so as a youth than an adult, and that was the reason he got 50 years. They gave him an additional 10 years to make up for that time. And the fourth person who was involved was Hugh's girlfriend. She got 2 years for the same crimes. From what I understand, she was able to cut a plea deal to come back and testify against Hugh should he say that he wasn't involved. None of the victims could identify Hugh in the beginning, being that Hugh was more in the background. None of the victims could identify Hugh in the beginning. So they asked her if she wanted to come and testify against him in return for a 2-year sentence. So she's already out of prison. My husband, Hugh Sr., Hugh's dad, has been the family's rock through all of this. He keeps us encouraged. He has his downtime too. For example, the other day when I was feeling down and just wondering, you know, when Hugh was going to get out, he said, "Kel, it's okay to cry and it's okay to be down, but we can't stay there." He said, "What you don't see is that I have my days too." He says, "But I'll have them when I'm in the car, when I'm in the truck, and then I get it out and then I'm better." He said the key is to just not stay there. We can't lose hope. We've got to remain hopeful and faithful and know that there's a reason that he's there and that there's something good that's going to come out of it. The pizza delivery drivers came to deliver pizzas. When they got there, the guys jumped in the car. They told them to drive off as they robbed them of their money. Being that they drove off with the pizza delivery driver in the car, it was considered kidnapping, because once you move somebody from one point to another, it's considered kidnapping.
So the pizza delivery guys were still driving the vehicles?
Yes.
And the guys like hopped in the back seat?
Hopped in the back seat, said, "Give me your money," or "Drive off, give me your money." And they got the money, threw the wallets in the dumpster, and ran off after that.
All right, and did they have guns?
Yes, one of them had a gun. I'm not sure if it was in both instances. There were 2 pizza delivery drivers involved, and at least one of them had a gun. Hugh didn't in this instance, but I believe one of them did.
So it's one of these deals where kidnapping is really not it's not, in my opinion, a proper charge. But
Well, they charged them with several charges for one offense.
Yeah.
So it was not only kidnapping. I'm pretty sure there was robbery involved as a charge. but that was the most serious charge or offense as far as the court system goes, from what I understand.
So kidnap. Somebody held up a restaurant and they had the employees stand in the hallway, and it was kidnapping. I mean, come on now. I don't. It's just typical of our justice system. Just twist it around so you can get as big a charge as possible to get them to take a plea for something less, where they think they're getting a deal when they're not.
Well, we heard from some United States attorneys or something in New York City that they heard about the case all the way up there, the Clay County cases, and they said that Hugh's case was being used to show how tough they are on crime. And they profiled him to say he fits the bill of what they're looking for. They consider him black, even though he's multiracial. He's young, and he committed these crimes. But when the attorneys and I did a search of every crime that was committed similar to Hugh's within a 2 to 3 year period, his case was 10 times higher, his sentencing was 10 times higher than any of the others. They were 4 years. 4 years was the most. And as I sat inside Mr. Kolaw's office, who was the prosecutor, and explained to him that we've done this study, what do you have to say? He told me that, rather irately, all of those cases I can explain to you. One of them was black on black crime. One of them was Mexicans. One of them was a closed down business. In other words, they were throwaway people and throwaway instances, and that's the reason that they got such a lighter sentence. He said, Mrs. Pickens, your son had to have, and these were his words, some big kahunas to do what he did at the time of day he did in the area of town that he did it. And I told him, I'm not trying to be rude, but if I, God forbid, were to ever to rob somebody and I were on drugs, because Hugh said they gave him something to smoke that had marijuana laced with white stuff. And he said he took it willingly because he needed to do that in order to be able to do what he did. And I told him, I said, somebody that's on drugs doesn't care what time of day they do what they do. And number two, I wouldn't go to the ghetto to rob somebody. So by saying he had some big kahunas to do what he did at that time of day, it just doesn't make any sense to me. It's just, come to find out, the victim was either his best friend or his best friend's neighbor. So both cases have a little bit of political stuff involved. I would tell other mothers who are in the similar situation as we are to never give up, to never lose faith, even though every day is a struggle and a trial, to keep that precious faith in your mind and to know that there's a reason behind everything that happens. We haven't given up on Hugh, and we never will. We don't agree with what he did, but we do believe he needs a second chance. So if any other mothers are out there, they're watching, don't lose hope. Just hold on, because a better day will come. I'd like to say to all the youth that are out there that may be in Hugh's situation, maybe facing time or just fallen down the wrong path. You see kids going in and out of prison, in and out of the system all the time, and you think, this is not going to happen to me. Well, I'm here to tell you, it can happen to you. One false move, and you can never imagine the pain that you can cause your family and yourself. Hugh never imagined in a million years that this would happen to him. He told me, Mom, if I ever knew, ever stopped to think before I did what I did, that it would hurt you and my family so much, I would have never done it. He said, I would not have hesitated. I would have thought my actions through. So before you get ready to do something, you've got to take the time to think these actions through and realize you're not only hurting yourself, you're hurting a lot of people.
Hi, my name is Raquel Pickens. I'm Hugh's sister. We're all sisters, Savannah, Juliana, and Leilani. And we just want to say that we miss him a lot, and we want him to come home. I understand that he did something wrong and he deserves time, but it feels like a piece of our family is missing every day, and I just want justice just the right time for what he did and not over sentencing.
The rest of you guys miss your brother?
Yes, sir.
You love him?
Yes, sir.
Do you get to see him?
Yes, sir.
Do you? You want to send him a message? You want to say we love you? We love you, Hugh? Can you say I love you, Hugh? Maybe not? We know you do, though. You're just too little to talk that much. All right, anything else you want to say?
No, sir.
No? Okay.
This has affected our family and our extended family in a way that I can't even describe. Every day that's gone by since Hugh was arrested has been a trial. Nothing has been the same. And I'm still in just shock and disbelief that a kid that has never been in trouble in his life can get 40 years on the first offense. As I explained to the prosecutors in a meeting that I was afforded to go to before the sentencing, other kids have gone in and out, and you see them walking down the street with a chip on their shoulder all the time. And you see them in 1 minute and then you see them out the next. Hugh, although what he did was wrong, without a shadow of a doubt, didn't get an opportunity to have a second chance. He was just sentenced right then and there. So every Christmas, every birthday, every holiday that goes by is a chance for us to try and move on, but it's also a time that we mourn because we feel like we've lost his youth, his innocence. Now, granted, that's something that he caused, and we understand that. We want him to do the time that's usual for the crimes that he committed. But having to deal with this every day has just been a heartache.